So we talked about how to break down a new body of water and how to go about doing that. But we went into baits a little bit on different baits that I throw different times of year. But by far, one of my favorite baits to throw is a crankbait. Doesn't matter if I'm catching them on a Stormarashi weight crank or if I'm catching them on a DT20 out in 20 foot of water. I love catching them on a crankbait, and the reason for it is I can cover a lot of water. I don't like to sit in one place and wait for the fish to come to me. I like to be staying ahead of those fish, right? I like to be progressive and try to move with the fish, try to stay ahead of them, and always be able to adapt. And one way for me to always be able to fish new water is with a crankbait, right? I mean, if I'm flipping and pitching down a bank, I may be able to pick more fish off, but I don't need to catch every single fish. And when I'm trying to develop a pattern, especially during practice, a crankbait is a bait that I can fish in a lot of different scenarios, so I don't have to keep swapping rods all the time. I can pick up a crankbait, I can go down a bank, and I can dissect a body of water really quick with a crankbait. So I'm going to go through and kind of give you guys just an idea of how I look at a lake when I'm just specifically with crankbaits, because that's probably one of my #1 tools as far as when I get to a lake. I use the percentage triangle, but when I go to that, a lot of times I'm going to have a crankbait tied on, and it's going to be on my front deck. Promise you, Lake Hartwell, I'm going to have 8 or 9 different crankbaits tied on. I'm going to have Arashi 3s and 5s, DT4s, DT6s, DT16s, some new prototype stuff. I mean, I'm going to have all kinds of baits because I don't know exactly what those fish are going to be doing, but I know that they're going to eat a crankbait somewhere. Whatever depth they're at, I can usually get them to eat a crankbait. #1 reason, it allows me to cover water quickly. I go into this time and time again over seminars. The hardest thing is to find the fish. Getting them to bite is easy most of the time. So I'm always wanting to develop a pattern because a pattern is easier to adapt to. It's easier to change when conditions change than it is a spot. If you're just fishing a spot, they move, you don't have anything to go off of or why those fish are there. If you have an idea of why those fish are there and they move, then that gives you the ability to adapt and change. So a crankbait's going to allow me to cover that water, figure out a pattern, right? I can figure out, okay, they're on the shady side of docks in 3 to 5 foot of water with a steep channel swing break, within 10 feet. They're on the first 2 docks off a channel swing. I mean, I'll get that specific, but I have so much confidence in a crankbait that I'm going to fish that because I feel like that's what I'm going to be able to get them to eat 90% of the time. And the other thing is it allows us to match bait fish, whatever the forage is. There's so many different colors out there. You can adapt it to different watercolor. So say you're fishing in 3 to 5 foot, you got 2 or 3 foot of visibility, you're fishing more bait fish colors, more natural colors. All of a sudden you get a real heavy rain, it blows it out, it's muddy. Well, those fish need something that they can see a little bit better. So then I don't have to switch my entire arsenal. All I might need to do is change the color, and I may need to go from a silent version to a rattling version. Those fish are still in the same area, I just have to make it easier for them to find that bait. So I'd pick out a brighter chartreuse color bait and maybe go to a rattling or stick with the silent. I'll try both. The next thing that it's going to allow us to do is it works in all different types of the season. Right? You can't just have one crankbait and say this one's going to work all the time. Now I will tell you that I used to have all kinds of different square bills, just about every brand you can imagine. When we came out with this Arashi, I got enough confidence in it that I sold all the rest of them, and now I pretty much carry the Stormarashi 3 and 5 in silent and rattling in a various amount of colors, and a DT4. And that's the only things I carry. Like I just have a box dedicated for those because they work throughout the year so many different scenarios. I just have to match the bait fish or match crawfish patterns during the certain times of year, or I may have to go with silent and rattling. It just depends on the time of year, the current conditions, all that comes into play.
I hope you enjoyed the preview clip, and for more like that and the entire collection, subscribe to the Bass University TV. And if you want the tackle that you see on there, I want you to go to the Bass University Tackle Shop, powered by Tackle Warehouse, and click right here, and it's all at your fingertips.
You want to become a better angler?
You want to catch more and bigger bass at your local pond?
Then check out Bass University TV for hardcore bass fishing information.
Hey, I'm Pete Gluzek,
And I'm Mike Iaconelli.
and this is Bass University TV.
Welcome to Bass University TV, an online video training course where you'll learn champion bass fishing techniques from pro anglers Pete Gluzek, Mike Iaconelli, and their talented special guests.
Everywhere I go in the country, I'm trying to use these techniques because I catch big fish that way.
From on the water to in the classroom,
We want to use that bait to help make that area even smaller and really find that sweet spot.
you'll learn sound techniques and strong fundamental bass fishing skills.
You want something that's got a nice limber action, that's going to allow you to build pressure and keep those hooks pinned against that fish's mouth.
Watch hours of video content on multiple topics at your own pace for a low monthly fee. Cancel at any time.
Hold on, because you're going to catch some big fish.
Information is power in the sport of fishing, so learn from the very best.
That's a key theory in all of fishing.
Subscribe to Bass University TV today.
Man, does it trigger a lot of strikes.
Here's the part that you're not going to hear anywhere else. This is the Bass University TV exclusive.